Welcome back to the Ultraviolet Tide. I am here with Lynne O'Brien, the founder of Line in the Sand, fresh off of a trip to Greenland. Lynne, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you on here, and I am so thrilled that you were able to make the time amidst all of your world traveling. So I'm going to do a brief introduction as to who you are and a little bit about Line in the Sand. And then, of course, I want to hand it over to you to share more because I know I'm just going to have the very tip of the iceberg of all of the work that you do. So
Good fun too. I love it.
we were saying before we press record that we're going to make all the water puns that we can. So let's dive into your background. So Lynne is a waterwoman and cancer survivor who has been winning a battle with leukemia since 2012. A paddler, sailor, boater, swimmer, snorkeler, and beach reader, Lynne's happy place is by the water. She founded Line in the Sand not only to provide sun protective waterwear, but also to help women feel comfortable enjoying the activities that they love, which is such an incredible mission. So, Lynne, tell us a little bit more about how Line in the Sand came to be.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for having me. I should start out by saying this whole business is new for me. I've never worked in retail or fashion, or I don't even really enjoy shopping. But I was working in the cancer moonshot under the Obama administration. And when that job ended after, the election, I sort of had time on my hands, and I was thinking a lot about how my doctors have said I can't be in the sun because I'm at a higher risk for melanoma with my leukemia. And when I had free time, my favorite thing is to be outside in the water. I'm pointing out the window, um, even on the land, in the land, but in the sun. And so I really got looking for, shopped all around the world, things from Australia because they have great sun gear. And I just couldn't really find what I wanted. It was either very skimpy, maybe swim leggings shown with a bikini top, or neon colors, almost like they made children's clothing
Hmm.
and just made it bigger.
Yeah.
And, I had this time to, I think when you're a little bored, you have time to be creative. And I just thought, I really should, if I can't find something, I'll try to make it myself, having no idea what I was getting myself into. So I just started. I read an article about this fabric that was made from recycled plastics and nylons, which I wanted to do things the right way and really combine all
Hmm.
of my passions, which is, I'm very anti plastic and want to protect the oceans. I care about cancer. And I thought, what if instead of asking people for money, because I should say I'm on 3 different cancer boards, what if instead of asking people for money, I actually sell something that will help prevent cancer, make you feel good, and then I give all the profits to cancer and ocean causes. So it's sort of a labor of love, combining all of my passions. And here we are. I never thought I would be doing this 6 years later and that it would become such a big business.
Yeah, and here we are. And I did want to mention you were a finalist for Title IX back in 2021. You were a Tory Burch Fellow in 2022. I'm sure all of these experiences gave you so much to continue growing your brand, even though you said yourself, like fashion was kind of new to you. You were kind of trying to figure it out as you go. I'm sure this mentorship was a big piece of that as well.
They were incredible, especially the Tory Burch program, because it was a year long. And we not only had experts from within their company and outside the company, but just the fellowship of all women entrepreneurs. And I realized there might be someone in landscaping or making a beverage, but we were all, entrepreneurs with a new product. And I realized, I don't have to be an expert sewer, or I don't have to be great at social media. You just have to find the right people.
Hmm.
And just that sisterhood has been great. And everybody wants to help. There's nobody that I've called that has turned me away. And I also should add, I have a fantastic mentor in Kay Unger. You might remember Kay Unger dresses. I mean, they're still out there. She doesn't own the company anymore, but she's on the she was chair of the board of Parsons School of Design, and she has been in fashion her whole life. And she just turned 80. She's a force, and knows everybody. And it's just really, it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have her as a mentor.
Yeah.
So I
I
feel
mean,
very lucky.
I was going to say those connections are so important. And it is really hard, especially in apparel, to find people who are actually going to help support you and put you on the right path. I found with manufacturing and finding the right people to work with, it it was a little bit of a challenge. So having those right people with you is a huge piece of that.
And I think I'm not afraid anymore to ask anyone for help. I think especially because I'm saying that it's not that it should matter, but it's not money for me. It's money that we're giving away.
Yeah.
So I don't feel badly calling, the head of a department store or, some designer or just anybody that I would like advice from or a favor and saying, can you help me? We give all the profits away. And people, it definitely opens a lot of doors that way too. And hopefully
Yeah.
it resonates with our customers as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was one of the first things that really resonated with me when I learned about your brand. So let's dive a little bit into that. You do give 100% of profits back to cancer and ocean organizations. So why are one, sustainability, and two, giving back really at the core of your business?
I think it's just the issues that are so important to me. I got, once I was working for the Cancer Moonshot, it opened my eyes to so many organizations. And of course, one of my favorites is Leukemia Lymphoma Society because I have leukemia and I'm still on medication, but I'm on medication that didn't exist when I was first diagnosed. And it's why I'm here. So, of course, that's my main focus is giving back to them, but also preventing cancer. And I'm on that Prevent Cancer Foundation that so many cancers can't be prevented, but skin cancer can be by covering up.
Yeah.
And that just feels like a win-win right there. And then the oceans, I mean, everything, well, the whole earth depends on the oceans, and protecting them has always been important to me. And I found that even in this trip to Greenland, you can be in the most pristine location in the world and you can see a plastic bottle floating by. And that just has always bothered me. And, I always say it was kind of, it feels sort of, what's the word, maybe charming, because in 2020 in January, I put a little post-it in our family's refrigerator saying no water bottles in 2020, not realizing we had COVID coming and so many
Right.
crazy issues. It seems kind of quaint, I guess, but I really feel strongly about that. If I
Yeah.
can avoid a water bottle buying or anything plastic, I will, because we only have this ocean, and anything that affects the wildlife in the ocean or our water source, so many things are dependent on that. So I did find that this, I'm wearing the outfit actually, but
Hmm.
this fabric is the best one,
Yeah.
that's made of recycled plastics. I mean, some people say we should just not even recycle plastics, but we don't really have an alternative for swim and active wear
Hmm.
short of wool bathing suits, which is a thing,
That wouldn't be great.
right? But this fabric by Carvico doesn't shed the little
Hmm.
microparticles and so forth, plastic particles. So I feel like it's the best one out there. And so I feel good about it. I feel like I'm trying to do it all right if I can.
Yeah. And that fabric too is kind of, it's not only like recyclable and doing good with the fabric, it's also one of the most luxurious, like moisture wicking, lovely fabrics in the world.
It is. Well, you mentioned my trip to Greenland. We did a polar plunge and I was wearing this, and
Oh my
I mean, it was
gosh.
freezing, but it dried so quickly that by the
Yeah.
time I changed out of it and, warmed up, it was dry. So,
Yeah.
and actually when you're wearing it in hot climates, I prefer having long sleeves on because your skin isn't out in the bright sun. And, if you go swimming and wear it, it keeps you cooler.
Yeah.
So kind of, and I found I used it as a lining in the Arctic under my clothing because it was
Yeah.
really soft and, wicks away anything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
think
love it.
I think that's one of the best innovation when it comes to fabric now is that you can use these fabrics that are really pushing the boundaries in terms of sustainability, but not compromise on the quality of how it feels and looks and the use case of being able to wear it in cold climates and in hot climates and feel comfortable in both instances. You're not compromising when it comes to using a recycled textile anymore. The innovation is just so incredible.
Exactly. And this fabric is a little more expensive than if I just used like a polyester nylon, but I think our customers feel like it's worth it. I do see some leggings or dresses like this that are half our price, and I realize they're not paying for the fabric. They're not, um,
Hmm.
made of a recycled nylon. So I feel good about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's worth the investment for sure. I did want to ask, when I speak with founders who really turned either a personal health battle or a personal need into a brand, you find that there's a lot more heart behind those brands. So I'm really curious if you can talk about, yes, like you were creating a product for yourself, but as you were doing that, you also found this incredible community, I'm assuming, of, those who are also interested in giving back and protecting their skin as well.
Right. That's a great question. I did do it because, first of all, yes, I needed it. And I have, like, for example, I have a friend who I invited on a winter vacation with our family. And she said, I couldn't possibly go. I won't be in a bathing suit in front of your family. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's a crazy answer, but it's not
Yeah.
unique. I mean, I know so
Yeah.
many women who just say, I don't want to go to the beach, or I don't want to be in a bathing suit, or they're all covered up. And it just, I feel like, gosh, and I think with the cancer diagnosis, it made it more acute, feeling like we only have so much time here. Are we going to
Yes.
stay inside because we don't look good? So it was not only the passion of preventing skin cancers, but just that feeling of just get out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I know how it felt. I don't like being out on a paddleboard in a bathing suit because I feel very exposed. But if I'm in my leggings and this tunic, I feel great.
Yeah.
And so it definitely, there was heart behind it. And then when I first made some sales, it was mostly my friends, or, I would look at the sales and say, do I know this person? And
Hmm.
then once I started getting strangers, it was incredible. And I will say last week, I got this email from a customer. I mean, I literally sat down and cried because she just said, I want to tell you it's the most luxurious fabric. I love it. It's life changing. I feel like I can be out there now. And I would say about half of the emails I get mention that they also have cancer,
Yeah.
and either feel like some, if you have a mastectomy, you just want to be covered up, or just people just saying how much it means to them and how it's life changing, or grandmothers who, I'm at a water park with my grandkids and I'm not uncomfortable, but yet I can get wet. And so I feel like there are times I've had every obstacle come my way, honestly. But when I get those emails, I realize I'm doing this for a reason. I really care about it. I'm energized every day when I wake up for it. Yes, there are glitches, shipping gets lost, or you know, the tariffs, or we have returns, and it there are little glitches here and there, but in the end, it's so worth it to me to feel like I'm doing this and it's meaningful.
Hmm. I think another piece that makes people feel so included in your brand is the size inclusivity. So I wanted to talk about that because you do offer inclusive sizes for sizes 0 through 18. So why is it important for you to ensure that inclusivity for all women? Because I mean, as you said, like part of your founding story was creating flattering and comfortable pieces that, you don't have to be in a bikini and you can still go paddleboarding.
Right. And I'm all for, if you want to wear a bikini and you're a larger size, great.
Yep.
I'm all for that. But I think most people that I've talked to, especially if you're a little bit older and don't feel like you're as fit or as, the size you want to be, you can feel great in this. And, I didn't mention that really when the idea came together is I was on a trip with our high school sons when they were graduating, and all the moms went with them, and everybody was like taking off their cover ups and running in the ocean, trying to, oh, I'm so
Hmm.
embarrassed in my bathing suit. And one woman's luggage never came, and she was in her yoga leggings and a top and diving in the
Okay.
waves, and she looked great. I mean, I feel like I look good in my yoga type pants. And I thought, well, why can't we do that for swimming?
Hmm.
And so I do feel like you've got to have it for every size. I mean, women want that. And the average size in the US is not a 4 or a 6. I think it's like a 12 or a 14. And usually you just don't see that in the ads. And even in the products I ordered, the leggings would be very tiny or low waisted, and they would show it with a bikini top. And I think, well, if I could wear a bikini top, I'd wear a bikini bottom. So let's make it where everybody can wear this. And I don't understand, when I go shopping just for regular clothes, or my son got married, I was looking for dresses. So many of them are in the department stores in a 0 or a 2, and very few people that wear those sizes.
Hmm.
So I thought it's easy enough to make larger sizes, and those sell more for us. We don't sell many of the extra small, um, so we don't make as many. But we sell a lot of large, extra large. We have some in double XL, and that's what people want. That's what they wear.
Yeah. Yeah, it helps people feel seen for sure. I mean, I know
Exactly.
as a small brand, I mean, we offered when we were manufacturing extra small through extra, extra large. And that was really hard for us because we have a different fit model for the larger sizes so that it does fit accurately. And people don't understand how expensive that is for a small brand to do.
Absolutely. And it's more fabric too,
Yeah.
honestly. And
Yeah.
so it definitely is expensive. Um, but that's what people want.
Yeah.
Give people
Yeah.
what they want.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I agree. And I did want to pivot a little bit because I want to know, how did you come up with the name Line in the Sand?
Well, it's funny. I toyed with so many names, and I thought even about naming it after a place. Like there's
Hmm.
Patagonia or different and places that matter to me. But then I thought, that won't be universal. And it just came to me one night, like in the middle of the night, because I wanted to incorporate sand and beach and something or water, but I thought, this is my line in the sand that I'm not going to be sidelined because I don't feel like I look good. Like when you really break that down, how silly is that? You're not going to go do some adventure in the water because you feel like you don't look good. And my line in the sand was also giving back. Like I want to help in my small way with cancer cures or cancer prevention and also protecting the oceans. And it all just sort of came to me like, this is my line in the sand. And people love the name. I will say it is a little bit tricky because people use that expression a lot of like
Yeah.
drawing my line in the sand or, in the politics or in a war. So when you search line in the sand, it doesn't always come up the way I would like it. But I think the name and the logo have
Hmm.
really made it, are very impactful and people love it and they love our logo.
Yeah. Yeah. I read an interview that you did with, I think it was the Hook Report, and I hope I'm remembering that correctly.
Yes,
But you had a quote about saying how this company is your line in the sand, that you're not going to stay inside, that you don't want anyone else to either, and that you want to create a product that empowers people while also gives back. And I just think that's the most beautiful mission because you're right. There are companies that, don't have they don't give back in the same way. Let's just say it in that context. And I find that with a lot of women-owned companies that give back, they care a lot, and the product is just it is kind of the best. You can't get any better than that.
exactly. Well, and it's interesting. As I said, people take your call if you want. And I talked to a man who, I won't mention the company, but it's a huge men's clothing store. And he said, I don't care where you give the money. He said, I think that's silly. I think, like Rolex, they make a lot of money. I don't care what they do with their money. You want it, you make the money and just give it where you want. And it was interesting because it made me think about it a lot of, is that what I should do? And then I realized I want people to feel like when they're buying this, that they're doing something good. And it's great for a gift. You're giving something that pays it forward. And it almost made me more determined to give it away and not just 1% or 10%. I thought, because a lot of people do that, I'm going to do 100%.
Hmm.
And hopefully that will catch on. I mean, I looked at, Paul Newman. If I go to the store and I see all kinds of salad dressings, I'm more inclined to buy Paul Newman because it's 100% of the profits
Hmm.
go to charity. So I thought I'm going to do that. I think it's mattered.
Yeah, it's really hard to do too. I remember when I was learning about your brand and learning that you guys gave 100% of profits back. I'm like, how? How do they do this?
It's hard. It's taken a while, but um, and I've really gotten to know some organizations, not just the cancer organization, but Sea Legacy is one that is worth taking a look at. It's two photographers who are phenomenal and go all around the world, highlighting the beauty of the ocean and the problems with the ocean. And it's Paul Nicklin and Christina Mittermeier. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they were National Geographic, and I've just really gotten to know the organization and the passion they have for the ocean. And we give to them, and they're so appreciative. And we even gave them, we sort of outfitted the crew on their ship
Oh,
in
that's
our
great.
products. And I just feel like, wow, we're out there somewhere in the world making a difference.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a question, and I feel kind of silly asking it now
No,
because I feel like we've gotten
ask me
so
anything. Yeah.
many. I feel like as the audience listening, they know now what sets you guys apart. But in your own words, when it comes to other waterwear brands out there, what really sets you guys apart?
I think obviously the give back, our fabric, and then also our designs. I mean, I do see one big trend is the long sleeve bathing suits. But you still have your legs exposed, or
Right.
they're just very, I've seen some that are very skimpy or only look good on someone if they have like the perfect fit, and size, perfect body. So I think the fact that we're inclusive in size and also I think very chic and stylish. We're trying to be a little more fashion forward um, and I would say our customer service because it's me, but we're very flexible with people and,
Yeah.
I respond right away and help them with sizing. And I feel like it's a very personal experience. And so many of our customers are repeat customers and tell their friends. And I just feel, I guess, like it's more organic, which maybe other companies aren't. It feels like a community.
Yeah, I have to say, when my mom had her first couple melanoma diagnoses, and I hope she's okay with me kind of sharing this, like, she was, as most people, felt terrible. She just felt so scared of going outside and being outside in the sun. And we love the beach. Now, we've never been people who have sat out in the sun. We've always sat out under umbrella, but even doing that, you're like, well, are the UV rays bouncing off the water? Like, am I fully protected? What is going on? And I know she would go out in her leggings, and a long sleeve shirt that had a hood on it, and she would just be miserable because she would be so hot. And I think when it comes to your founding story, when you talk about you were trying to find products on the market that, didn't look like little kids' clothes that they just made in adult sizes, or weren't skimpy pieces, like you wanted something that really fit this need that wasn't out there. And my mom was right in that category too. And I know a lot of women, they have the same issue of like, what am I supposed to wear now?
Right. I feel the same way. I did lie in the sun growing up and, baby oil and the whole thing. And even until a few years ago, I wasn't a hat person. And then I had a skin cancer. It wasn't melanoma, but basal cell on my head. I don't have the thickest hair. And I realized, wow, I need to wear hats. So I should add, we have a lot of different sun hats, canvas, straw, baseball caps. But I think, there were not a lot of options. And it's funny, when I started this, I didn't find many brands. And now I don't know if
Yeah,
it's the algorithm on my Instagram or what is it, but there seem to be so many new companies. And I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I'm thinking, oh no, another competitor. But really the answer is it's better because I think the
right.
more companies that are out there, the more people realize they need to do this. In swim
Hmm.
leggings, in the beginning, I was selling the concept of wearing
Yeah,
swim leggings. People are like, what are those? And now if they're everywhere, then we have an option for you. So I
yeah,
think it's now I'm just selling our brand, not so much why you need to wear sun protective
yeah.
clothing.
No, I think you're
But I
spot
hope it's
on.
coming mainstream.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I know I can speak back to 2019 when we started. There were five big companies, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and now there are a few dozen. And it's exciting. I get what you're saying. It's exciting, but at the same time, you're like, hmm, I don't love this because now there's just like so many options for people to go to. But at the same time, if your bottom line is, I want to protect people and I want to give back, and this allows me to continue doing that, you just have to remember that bottom line of like, okay. And that's what I remind myself too. I'm like, it's all good. It's all going to work out.
Exactly. And I think, no, I think you're right. And there are a lot that are higher price point than I am and some that are lower. So
Hmm.
there's a bit of a range. And I should add too that I thought it was going to be for more older women. But like my daughter lived in Hawaii, now she's in San Diego. She'll wear a bikini maybe, but have sun protective clothing on top if she's
Yeah.
surfing. Or so I'm finding the young girls are wearing it as well
Yeah.
when they're in the sun. They might also have the bikini, but
Hmm.
they're way more aware of they're protecting their skin than we were at that age. I mean, we
Yeah.
had copper tone maybe, and SPF 4 or something.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have all these options for sunscreen, and certainly didn't have rash guards or cover ups.
Hmm. Yeah, another thing I was thinking about as we're talking about like competition as well. If you go and ask the average sun protective consumer how many sunscreen products, how many UPF products they have in their closet, they at least have five different sun protective brands. Like,
But
everyone
that's
can. Yes, I mean, I own a brand much like you do, and yeah, I have like 5 to 10 different sun protective brands, and I use 10 different types of sunscreen depending on what I'm doing that day. And if you're a true consumer of this kind of product, you love it all.
Exactly. Well, and now I feel like with the clothing, because I do miss spots if I'm using lotion and you have to reapply. Now I just focus on my face,
Hmm.
and if I can just have sunscreen in my face and the rest of my body covered, then I'm good. And I am worried. I do worry about my hands. We do have this, but your hands are still showing, and that's
Yeah.
that's another part of even just for cosmetic. You don't want to have sunspots on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I've never had anything removed on my hands, but it's another area to protect.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the cosmetic is really one of the things that drives home sun protection these days. And it's
Yes,
funny because if people are in their 20s, which I am in my late 20s, I'm still claiming that I'm in my 20s.
good for you.
Um, and it is funny because that cosmetic aspect is what gets a lot of people in their 20s interested in sun protection. It isn't even the fear of skin cancer unless they have a family member or had an
Right,
early case of it. It's not that, it's a cosmetic aspect of it. I'm like, all right, like that's okay. I'll take whatever I can get if you're wearing sun protection.
right. Well, you have beautiful skin, and trust me, you don't want to lose that because I
Mm,
think as you get older and you've had sun, it's hard to reverse it.
yeah,
You spend a lot of money on lasers and retinoids and everything, so best to protect it.
yeah. I know. I know. It's early. It's easier to keep the sun or keep, what am I trying to say? It is easier to protect yourself now than reverse the damage later.
Exactly, totally.
Yeah.
How is your mom doing, by the way?
She's good. Yeah, she's doing great. Yeah. Yeah. It was very stressful, in the moment that a lot of people can kind of attest when you have a family member that is diagnosed with melanoma. And we had no context of what melanoma was when it happened. And she had three cases back to back to back. And we just kind of felt like our world was kind of just exploding, honestly. And then, but based off of her case, I mean, she had fantastic doctors at the University of Virginia who
Oh, that's
took
great.
fantastic care of her. And because of her case, my entire family has been so on top of our skin checks for the 5 years since then, 6 years since then. And I, I do feel like it was a blessing in disguise because I never would have taken my skin health seriously so young if it wasn't for her case because, like all young women and men in a lot of cases, you don't think that it's applicable to you. You don't think about those things. You go out and play tennis or you're swimming or you're doing all these things and you're like, oh, I'll worry about my skin health later. This is not a concern right now.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's just everywhere. Everyone I know has had things removed and many melanoma. Both of my parents and my sister. So I haven't had that yet, but I know it's in our family. Even though we tend to have, more olivey skin, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
it's
All right.
important,
I have a
and you
fun
can
question.
prevent it. It's the one cancer you can prevent.
I know. I know. Yeah, I think it's like over 95% of melanoma cases can be prevented if you wear sunscreen, take care of your skin health. You don't see a UV index of 10 and think, "Oh, this is time for me to go lay out," but you run inside.
Exactly.
All right, I have a fun last question for you because I read that your happy place is on Cape Cod with friends and family. I love that. Oh, yay, that's perfect. All right. So you wake up on Cape Cod. It is a gorgeous sunny day. You put on your line in the sand leggings, your jacket. What is the first thing you're going to go do?
Well, after coffee, grab my paddleboard and do stand up paddleboarding in the marsh behind us. Yeah. And if not that, maybe go out in a motorboat.
Yeah,
It's just beautiful waters here, and I love it. I would do it all day if I could.
a true testament to why your brand was created, right? For that lifestyle.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, then I so appreciate this conversation and your time. And if the audience is listening and they want to connect with you, where can they learn more about Line in the Sand?
Well, our website is simple. It's www.lineinthesand.com. We're also on Instagram. That's probably the best place to stay current with us. And also, you could follow me on LinkedIn, Lynne Fletcher O'Brien.
Well, perfect. And we'll include that in the show notes so people can easily click through and support and connect with you. Lynn, thank
Great.
you so much for your time. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day on Cape Cod and a great
Thank
summer.
you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.